Now let's look at some examples to convert a sufficient condition or a necessary condition to an if-then form. So recall the definition of a sufficient condition. But by the meaning of the word, we know that sufficient means that is enough. So just like a if statement. So if something occurs, you must have that consequence. Well, but for a necessary condition, necessary means this is required. So this is like a required condition, a requirement. But it doesn't mean this requirement is the only requirement. So there might be other requirements. And but it just means if, so you actually necessary is sort of like similar to only if. And as we talked about before, that a sufficient condition, this is like the condition for a if statement. So because we know Pia's birth on U.S. soil is a sufficient condition, so that makes this a hypothesis. And if this is a hypothesis, and for her to be a U.S. citizen, that will be a conclusion. So if we write down the if-then, the equivalent if-then statement, that would be if Pia was born on U.S. soil, then she is a U.S. citizen. Okay, so that's for sufficient condition. So it means if you meet, sufficient means enough. So if you meet this condition, being born on U.S. soil, that is enough for you to be a U.S. citizen. Now, necessary, as we talked about before, that necessary condition, this is necessary condition, that would be one of the requirements for being a president of the United States. So that means this is a consequence or conclusion following from the hypothesis here. Okay, so necessary condition, that would be a conclusion and or one of the requirements for the hypothesis. Okay, so if we write it in the format of if-then form, so this would be if George is president of the United States, then George attains age 35. And again, necessary means to be, in order to be a president of the United States, you must meet this requirement. So necessary means that's required. And so, but it doesn't mean if you meet this requirement, you will be the president of the United States. So it only means in order to be president of the United States, you must meet attaining age 35. So this is a necessary condition. If we write it in the if-then form, that would be if George is president, or you can say can be president of the United States, then George has attained age 35.